Welcome back. We're talking about how to go green here in Brooklyn, and one of the simplest ways to do your part is to just leave the car at home and take a walk around one of the many great areas here in Brooklyn. It's good for your heart and for the environment. Big Rick, take it away.
I'm Richard Cadlub, and I have a tour company named A Tour Grows in Brooklyn. I offer daily walking tours of Park Slope, Prospect Park. We go up into the heart of Brownstone, Brooklyn. We go along Brooklyn's 8th Avenue. We go and visit the Montauk Club, which is a prominent club. We then go by the Grand Army Plaza Arch, Brooklyn's version of the Arch de Triomphe. We cover the Brooklyn Public Library and parts of Prospect Park. We go down Montgomery Place, which is probably the nicest collection of architecture in any one city block. We then come back down to 7th Avenue and have pizza. And then we go shopping along Brooklyn's 5th Avenue. Brooklyn was part of 6 Dutch towns: Flatbush, Flatlands, Gravesend, Bushwick, Brooklyn, and New Utrecht. This area now is very affluent. It always was very affluent. In the late 1890s, this area was called Brooklyn's Gold Coast. It had the highest earning per capita in the U.S. Right now, it may still hold true. There's an influx of Manhattanites moving into the area, and prices of brownstones are anywhere between $3 and $5 million. Brownstone was quarried from a quarry in New Jersey, and they don't use this material anymore because it wears. It wears with the weather, and it wears down. There's various kind of columns. Behind me, we have the Tuscan columns, which are plain, and on my left, we're going to have Corinthian columns, which is a composite columns. It's a combination of Corinthian and Ionic. Ionic columns have the eyes. Corinthian columns have the leaves, and when you have both, it's called composite. Behind me is the crown jewel of Park Slope. It's the Montauk Club. It was built in 1891 by Francis Kimball. It's Gothic Venetian architecture, and it's modeled after a building on a canal in Venice called the Cadoro. In its heyday, it was visited by 5 U.S. presidents. To be a member, you had to be a prominent political figure or a very important person. Mayor William Gaynor lived across the street at 22 8th Avenue, and he was very instrumental in having the club built. Around 3/4 of the frieze, you could see the life. It depicts the life of the Montauk Indians, and we'll get a closer look if we go across the street. Behind us, we have a Civil War monument. It's called the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Arch. It was built in 1889 by John H. Duncan. John Duncan was selected from 36 entries to build the arch. He started construction in 1889, and after 3 years of construction, President Grover Cleveland presided over the unveiling. The statues on the arch were added 8 years later by the suggestion of the architecture firm McKim, Mead & White, and they were done by Brooklyn resident Frederick McMonus. On top sits the quadriga. The quadriga depicts America. It's Lady Columbia in a horse-drawn chariot with 2 winged victory figures on each side, trumpeting her arrival. On the bottom 2 pedestals, we have the Spirit of the Army Group and the Spirit of the Navy Group. Note the fallen of the Spirit of the Army Group. On the front right, we have a gentleman slumped over, and the gentleman on the far right with a sword up in the air with buttons on his lapel, that's the artist, Frederick McMonus. He used himself as a subject. On the left, we have the Spirit of the Navy Group. Again, note the fallen on the right-hand corner, 2 gentlemen slumped over holding each other up. On the middle, we have a naked lady holding a trident, quite racy for 1889. And on the left of the cannon, you have an African-American gentleman kneeling, holding a gun, holding it sideways, not threatening anyone. This is one of the only Civil War memorials in America with depicting an African-American. There's less than 5. We have one in Brooklyn. On the inside panels, we have President Abraham Lincoln sitting on horseback. It's one of the only times you'll ever see Lincoln sitting on a horse. And also, we have Ulysses S. Grant on the other side. This is a great tour. You can read the reviews. I love doing this. I'll take anywhere between 1 to 16 people. Come along, and I promise you a great tour.
And for more information on Rick's tours, you can check out his website at www.atourgrowsinbrooklyn.com. When we